right, Shalom Makim is a high spirit wind lawyer of the GMSspiritwindLevi camp, giving all honor and glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahashim Havashai, Bahashim Chahakudash. I also want to give double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well, as well as peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect. All right, and today I want to go into a topic. All right, today I want to go into a topic entitled, well, just a milk topic. You know, some brothers have requested, that we do milk breakdowns, and the spirit actually want me to go into the milk breakdowns. It's all about the basics, man. It's all about that strong foundation. All right, going back to the revelation of Yahushai. The revelation of Yahushai, and the reason why it's a revelation, because in the vision, all right, we were so far gone from our nationality that his description had to be described from like a foreign standpoint. For example, his head and his hairs was white like wool. His feet like into brass that burnt in the furnace. Hey, Shalom Zaquan. That's a description of Yahushai. But there's also a description of a so-called black man. But it was described like that because we were so far gone from our nationality that it had to be broken down like that. Mind you, nobody was called black in regards to nationality in the ancient world. All right, nobody was called black in the ancient world. We was identified by the families that we came from, or races of family. In the book of Genesis, the 10 chapters. You got the 18 families, or the 18 nations, okay? So we came out of the nation, or the family of Jacob, out of the house of Jacob, also known as the house of David. Well, ultimately the house of David is the elect, but we came out of the house of Jacob, you see? That's what Israel is. Israel is synonymous with Jacob. We came from that bloodline of Jacob, or that family, okay? Abraham had Isaac, Isaac had Jacob, Jacob had 12 patriarchs, and Esau had 12 patriarchs, okay? And in that time, in that known world, all right, a correct man, a biologically correct man had melanin. At that time, normal was classified as somebody that had melanin, okay? Normal was classified as someone who had melanin. For example, when Isaac saw his son come into this world, he said, Ashashua, wasted away his heat. Now, this was a description of his pigment, but it was also a foreshadowing of him being wasted of his nationality due to him selling his birthright. All right? Due to him his further, his end time punishment pursuant to Obadiah. He's wasted away, all right, because he's not going to exist as a nation, okay? But nonetheless, all right, Isaac and Rebecca was a so-called black couple. When I talk about black love, right? Well, Isaac and Rebecca was a so-called black couple, meaning they were dark-skinned people with woolly hair, all right? What you would call so-called African-American, or so-called American Negro today. As it says in the Zondervan's Bible Dictionary, that Ham was the youngest of Noah's sons. He became the progenitor of the dark nations, but not the Negro, showing you the distinction between the Negro and the so-called Africans, okay? But Isaac and Rebecca were so-called Negroes. They were marveled because Rebecca gave birth to a baby that was wasted of pigmentation, all right? But unlike albinism, he actually was a different nation. It was the progenitor of a different nation. But today he would be like a clean leper, like someone who had albinism, all right? But even science tells you that albinism, or blonde hair or blue eyes, is actually incorrect in genes. It's a recessive gene. It's not normal, it's abnormal. All right, it's an anomaly in the environment. All right. right, and this is just going back to the basics. Okay, so when Rebecca gave birth to Esau, he saw that he had no melanin, but he said he was red all over. Now, no baby is actually red unless it's an Edomite baby, and you can see the red blood behind his translucent skin. All right, an Edomite baby is born red. All right, so the puzzling part, the baffling part was, a dark-skinned couple gave birth to a non-melanated baby. All right, and the proof that this was the description of a so-called white man today. All right, it goes on to say, the boys grew, and Esau became a cunning hunter, a man of the field. Now, one thing about Esau, he actually has networks on television in which he hunts. You got something called Duck Dynasty, where you just got certain shows where Esau is just hunting. The TV show is all about him hunting, man. Okay? All right, and I'm in the South, man, and two things is big in Mississippi is football and hunting. All right? Around hunting season, man, the Walmart sports and leisure section is just packed with all type of stuff. All right? Shalom, shalom. All right, this is the description of the man that runs the earth. All right, it said Esau became a cunning hunter, a man of the field. Now, Esau was a very cunning hunter, not only in his element in the wild, but the way that he rules the world is through hunting. All right, because it also says, "By thy sword shall thou rule." It goes on to say that. Now, with a hunter, he usually baits, then he traps. All right. Like a fisherman is a hunter because he baits you with the worm or a particular bait, then he traps you with the hook. All right. So, for example, when it comes to Esau's policies, all right, or his philosophies that he spews through the world, westernization or whatever, he baits you in through the doctrine of freedom, but then he hooks you with debt, a central bank, or a puppet leader. All right. He baits and he hooks. You see? Even when it comes to the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, man. All right. He baits you with a criminal lifestyle with Jake. Then he hooks you with the prison sentence for living that lifestyle. All right. He baits you with planting the drugs in your neighborhoods, all right, and promoting their lifestyle on TV. But then he hooks you with incarceration, 3-strike rule, all these different things. It was a bait and hook. All right. But it's rooted back in his disposition as a man. He is a cunning hunter. But there's also a description of that man, right? That makes him an anomaly in the earth. All right, he naturally has no melanin. All right, but the stumbling block, pursuant to Job 9:24, it says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, then where and who is he? So he covered the face of the judges in the form of a period called iconoclasm, in which he took the prophets, all right, all right, he took the paintings of the prophets and had them destroyed or painted over as so-called white men. So fast forward to 2025, our frame of reference of prophets, our frame of reference of our own Messiah, our frame of reference of the Most High is an Edomite. All right, so that's why going back to Revelation 1:13-14, the description of Yahushua was said as such: his head and his hairs were white like wool. His eyes was a flame of fire. His feet was like unto fine brass, as though they burnt in the furnace. Those are the descriptions simply of a so-called Negro, because the so-called Negro is the prototype of man on the earth. He's the archetype of perfection of the Most High. If the Most High was to come down here in human form, he would look like the archetype of a so-called Negro. All right. Like, for example, I believe LeBron James is like that archetype of a Judite. Okay, that's what a so-called Negro is. A Judite is the Most High on earth. The Most High were to come on earth or enter into this earthly realm, he would look like a Judite because he's a Judite. That's the progenitor of all nations. That's the prototype of man. The archetype of the Most High on earth is a Judite, which would be, in my humble assessment, like a LeBron James. Just to give an example, you know, if you wonder why Dwayne Wade looks the way he does in the face, or LeBron James looks the way he does, because that's the face of a lion. A lot of Judites have lionistic faces. All right, that deep voice, that stature. That's how the Most High made the nation of Israel like it's lions. But that too had been demonized by our enemy. That's why he's called our fucking enemy. All right, ultimately because he put us in slavery. Even the psychological tactics that he uses against us to make us hate ourselves. So even our lionistic features that we possess, like the afro with the beard, that large nose, that deep voice, you are a walking lion. You are a walking lion. All right? His hairs are white like wool. It's white as snow. In a precept that connects with that was that Daniel 10:5. Says his arms, I'm roughly paraphrasing, his arms was like brass. So it went into further detail about the description of Yahweh. Okay? And back when I was in the 6th grade, we had to listen to this recording of a book called The Cape. And it took place in World War II, where a little boy, I think his plane crashed, and he was the only survivor that ended up stranded on the island. He was stranded on the island with a Benjamite. And that Benjamite ended up and the little boy was blind on the island. But it was the Benjamite that saved him. All right, and it was really a heartfelt story, man. I was in 6th grade, but I remember it vividly. And I still look up the cover of the book. And the cover of the book was a description of a Benjamite man, a so-called Caribbean man, that had brown, reddish skin with white woolly hair. He had a cat in his hand. Okay. All right. And but now that as a man, as an adult man, a grown man, when I read Daniel 7 and 9, it gives the description of Yahweh, not Yahweh Shai, but Yahweh, because it calls him the Ancient of Days, and it gives that description. All right, it's a description that reminds me of the man from the book The Cape. All right, because it talks about his skin, but it gives a description, all right, of a man that has brownish, reddish skin. But don't get it misconstrued with Esau's terminology. All right. Even my I have relatives that went to Cuba, and they said that you know, so-called black people down in Cuba is like, as though they have like orange skin. It's brown, but it's like an orange, you know. But these are dark-skinned people, man. So we have to decolonize ourselves and heal our psyche and understand that the prototype of man was a dark-skinned man. That first man was a dark-skinned man. The choice man is a dark-skinned man. Okay? You see? His head and his hairs are white like wool. For one, Yahweh Shai's hair was actually white, purish, woolly, like a hoary head. But it's actually the texture of a lamb's wool also. Okay? And the hairstyles that Jake have now is woolly. You know, you get a young Jake, they just have their hair out and it's kind of twisty and stuff and kinkly, you know, kinky. Nah, that's the woolly hair, man. You know? But even to this day, hey, the scripture says we have a grievous wound. You wonder why Eve hates us, right? But in part, Eve hates herself. She hates her melanin. She hates her hair texture. She hates her eye color, man. Well, I'm gonna tell you something. The Israelite man was also affected too. Because a lot of Israelites, they don't know that they are the choice man on earth. You know, all the Israelite man has to do is really get in shape. You know, let go of westernized, you know, let go of that standard American diet, exercise. You are the choice man on earth. Like, when I say Israelite, I mean so-called black, Hispanic, or Native American man. And the only thing that interrupts you is the propaganda that Esau is the choice man on earth. But the Israelite man is naturally handsome. You look at your Uncle Elroy, Uncle Leroy, and they might be 60, 70 years old. And you turn around and look at their pictures when they were like in their 20s and they were lean. It's like, man, he was handsome. I look at pictures of my aunties back in the early 90s, back in the 80s. I'm like, God damn. You look at Shaka Khan and all that. Like, we just got beautiful fucking genes, man. You got some of your great relatives were Gad, you know, Reuben, and they were like, it's like, damn, it was straight up looking like Pocahontas or something, man. You know, that choice, them choice genes are the Israelite genes, man. And people like to refer to us as black, which we're really not black, or we're really brown. But if you look at the color, if you mix all the colors on the palette, then what colors is it gonna turn? So we're the source gene. Our genes can produce any fucking look. Excuse my language. There's a gemstone or a crystal called tourmaline. It's called tourmaline. Now tourmaline is a black crystal, right? And if you put tourmaline in your space, it's said to clean out your space, clean out your impurities in the space. But tourmaline is black, right? When I found out the reason why it's black is because it possesses all the colors on the spectrum. The reason why it's black is because it possesses all the colors on the spectrum. See, nobody's the color black, but I'm making a point. You possess all the different traits, all the different physical traits within your genes. That's why you have these different derivatives of brown, man. And those dominant genes can produce recessive genes. It can produce the looks of other nations. Okay? It's a guide gene, you know. But part of his hair, and his hair is white like wool, man. They're woolly hair. You can take your old uncle, 70 years old, he just walk around with a fro and the beard is all gray. And you look at him like he's insignificant. It's an old Jake, but that's the look of a wise man in Israel. You know? That's the look of a wise man in Israel, man. But that's pretty much the point, man. You know? All this is edifying, you know. The milk is important, man. You know? Even in our homeland, Jerusalem, you know, milk was like Gatorade, you know. It was something that put the energy back in you. So hopefully, through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, just put that energy and that life back in us, man. But to the next time, shalom.